Hi, this is Suzanne Williams with Essential Oils, Health Matters, and Living the Wholesome Life. And we are on week 32, day 4 of our positive, peaceful growth affirmations that we are doing every day, Monday through Friday. We are studying, excuse me, Caleb, can you give me my water, please? We are studying Dr. Susan Lawton's book, Positive, Peaceful Growth Calendar. And if you love positive affirmations, if you love music therapy, or you love aromatherapy and essential oils, I think you're just going to so enjoy this book. It's a beautiful combining of those three aspects. The affirmation for the entire week that we've kind of been chatting about this whole entire week is, I am learning from my new adventures gently. I think it's fun for us to think of life as a grand adventure. Like a grand adventure that we're definitely playing for keeps, right? We're not it's not something that, it's not like a video game where you get like 1,000 tries at it. Like, this is our adventure, like this, our one adventure here in this life. And as we think of life as an adventure, I think that prepares us to know that adventure stories have obstacles that people have to overcome. Adventure stories have heroes. I love the idea that we can be a hero. And to me, a hero is someone who helps other people, who maybe saves the day in one way or another. I remember once when my husband had lost his job. This was, years and years ago, and living in South Jordan, Utah, and my neighbor just brought over like this number 10 can of oatmeal. And it was just honestly knowing that someone cared about me, someone loved me and cared about me and wanted to do something to help. To me, she was a hero. So we can be heroes for others. We can be like God's hands in this life. I have many friends, and I wish I was more like this. And I'm not yet, but I have many friends who wake up every day praying, God, who can I help today? I always want to be that type of person, and I in the past I've forgotten. I'm not that type of person yet. I love the power of yet. Like, I'm not that type of person yet, but I want to be. We can be the heroes in our own stories. We can be the heroes to other people. We can be the kind friends, the kind neighbors. And obviously, the ultimate hero is Christ, because of his atonement, because he lived the perfect life. He role modeled the perfect way to live, and he suffered and he atoned for each of our sins. So, So I guess, like, in hero stories, I'm sure some of them have forgiveness, but in our story, we know that we can be forgiven. So I love that. So we're going on a grand adventure, right? As we're going on grand adventures, I think it's good for us to have role models, especially if we're working on certain virtues or certain values or certain ways of being. I remember last year in my word for the whole entire year was imperturbable, and which means I am calm. I am calm in any situation, and nothing gets me out of my peaceful zone, right? Now, you might just think maybe she had to be working on that if that was like what she was working on for the whole entire year. And yeah, I had to work on it. I wanted to be a calmer, more imperturbable person. And so I remember one of my role models, I love old movies, and one of my role models on this was William Powell, who always just plays this super calm in every situation type of character. And so as we're going on our grand adventures, what I want us to do is I want us to think, what are we trying to develop? And then who can be our role model on us? Now, of course, we can always have Christ as one of our role models, but sometimes I think it's good to have a lot of different role models. So maybe today, as we're journaling, we can journal about what virtue am I trying to develop, or what goal am I trying to get to, which either way, and who do I think is like the epitome of that? Maybe 3 people, and then studying about their lives. I think that one of the best ways to learn is from other people, because then we don't have to make all the mistakes ourselves. And so it really helps our lives go along a lot smoother and a lot more happy. So if you know someone who's already got the goal, or you know someone who's already developed the virtue, like study them. Have they written anything? Have they I don't know. Have they produced anything? How can you study and get to know them? Is there a biography or an autobiography about them? And I think it's helpful for us to study the people that we want to be like. Now, just because we're trying to develop a virtue and we're studying someone who we think has a good virtue, does that mean we're copycatting? No. Because if I was trying to be more happy, and my son Xander was, my 4-year-old Xander was trying to be more happy, and my daughter Priscilla was trying to be happy, our happiness would all look night and day different, right? So even if you're trying to develop charity, your charity is going to look different than your neighbor's charity. So don't be afraid of studying. How does a person who has this characteristic go through life? Like, don't be afraid of that. And don't be afraid to reach out. Like, I know a lot of times I'm like 9 children, right? I'm trying to study on how can I be a better mother. And so one of the things that I've done in the past is I kind of keep my eyes out for super good moms. And when I see one of them, I'm like, come sit down with me. I think you're a super good mom. Would you mind just kind of telling me what you do in your family that you think really works, that's working for you, and what are the joys of what you do, and maybe even what are the hardships, and kind of what is your family culture, because I just think you're a great mom. I have never had anyone that I have approached saying, you know what, I think you're a great mom. Can you share some of your secrets with me? Or share some of, what you do with me? I have never had anyone say, no, I don't want to share. It's almost like when you make something or you're at like a potluck and you're like, oh my goodness, who made this? It's so good. Can I get your recipe? Like, it's a huge compliment, and people want to share. Most people really want to share their knowledge, and it feels good when someone says, hey, I think you're rocking this. Can you help me on this, right? So anyway, thinking of life as a grand adventure, looking for role models, looking for people who have walked the walk that we want to start walking, that can help be our guide. I think it's amazing. We can have guides that are living, and we can have guides that have lived 2,000 years ago, and we can learn from their wisdom. We have a wealth of media from all ages and all around the world that we can that we can learn from. Okay, so the affirmation for today is, I am brave in doing new things with enthusiasm. Okay, so to me, you know how I love to split things up, so to me this affirmation has 2 different parts of it. I am brave. So I want you to just sit there for a minute, and I want you to think to yourself, do you think you're brave? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You're probably brave in a lot of ways that you don't know, and you probably, if you're like the rest of us, you probably have some things that concern you, or maybe even some things that make you afraid. But I think it's good to tell ourselves, we're brave. We're brave. We got this. We're brave. And I think it's even good for our souls and our constitution. Like if I was talking, I don't even know what period of time talked about. Oh, it's good for your constitution. But I think it's good for our constitution when we do things that are hard for us, and when we do things that get us outside of our comfort zone, things that we do that we're afraid of. So you know what? I'm just going to challenge you today. No, I'm not going to challenge you. I am going to invite you to do something that makes you uncomfortable, that scares you. And I'm not talking about like skydiving or, cliff diving or, doing things that are dangerous. That's not the type of, that's not the type of courage that I'm talking about. I'm talking about courage to go do things that you really feel called to do, that you've been putting off because it's just not really inside your comfort zone. Anyway, so the first challenge to all of us is we're going to do something that helps us feel, oh my goodness, I was so brave. Okay? I guarantee that if you do something every single day that is outside your comfort zone, at the end of the week or the end of the month or the end of the year or the end of your life, you are going to be an example of bravery to yourself. And you're going to be an example of bravery to people around you. And I think that's good. Let's all courage up, right? Okay. So, and then the second part of that was I am doing things with enthusiasm. To me, what does enthusiasm mean to you? To me, enthusiasm means I'm doing it with cheerfulness, with hopefulness, with optimism, with almost camaraderie, right? Enthusiasm. Hey, come on, let's do this together, right? And so, as you're maybe as we're journaling, we can be thinking about who are some people that I think are brave, and what are some things that I have done that have been brave, and maybe what are some things that I didn't do because I wasn't brave, and I regret that. Let's just spend a little bit of time on that regret, so we realize I don't want to go there again. When I don't do things that I'm called to do because I'm afraid, I have regret, and I don't want to experience that again. Then, on the other side, let's look at people who we think have enthusiasm, right? The bright, the happy, that we can do this, that you got this, that anything is achievable if you just give it your all. I really do think that when people set a goal and they power their work into it, they pour their work into it, they put their work into it, however you want to say it, they give their all, right? When a person sets a goal and they give their all, I think heaven and earth moves to help that happen. I've seen it time and time again in my life. And I'm grateful for that, principle. Anyway, okay, so thinking about people who do things with enthusiasm, think about, am I enthusiastic? Do I tend to do things with enthusiasm and with hope and optimism and happiness? Or do I tend to do things more like, what would be the opposite of enthusiasm? Maybe like Eeyore, who is gloomy and, I don't think that's going to work. Eeyore does try to do things because he tries to find like a house for Piglet. So maybe he's like not the perfect example of this, but just like that person, that's just like the apathetic person who it's just like, why even try? It's not even gonna work. Like, you're so misguided thinking you can do that. No one does that. No one succeeds. Anyway, I don't know how you read your scriptures. And I'm definitely not here to tell you how to read your scriptures. I definitely have read my scriptures many different ways in the past. Sometimes I just like open like the book of scriptures, and then I just like go through it like page by page by page by page. Like open it up the front color, just reading to the end. But And I've done that like almost all of my life. But the last year or so, I've been reading through my scriptures by topic. And I am finding so much fun in that because it sends you like all over the scriptures from one book to the other to the other. And I just got done reading about apathy in the scriptures, and it was so good to see what does being apathetic get you? Apathy, in my opinion, robs us. When we are apathetic, it robs us. There's a scripture that somewhere in the Bible, I don't even know, that says something like, when there is no vision, the people perish. I'm sure I screwed that up, but I think you get the gist of my meaning, that then when you don't know where you want to go, and you don't have faith in that, like there's just even no try. And I think it's good. I think enthusiasm, bringing enthusiasm, makes it easier to get to goals. Definitely makes it easier for other people to want to join us in our goals, right? You know, who would want to join a person who's like, oh, I don't think this is possible? So I think apathy robs us. It robs us of all the good that is there if we will just wake up, open up our eyes, and get to work with a happy spirit. There's a quote by a old prophet his name was President B. Hinckley, and he said, for those who go through life with a happy spirit, they will find that everything works out. And I didn't do that quote word for word. I will put it in the comments for you. But basically, I think it's true. If we can go through life with a happy, grateful spirit, just like Pollyanna almost, we will find that things work out. Did Pollyanna know that some things were bad? Yeah. Did she tend to focus on the good? Yes. Did that change her life? Yes. Did it change her family's life? Yes. Did it change her community's life? Yes. Enthusiasm. It changes things. It changes things. So I know that we can be brave, and I know that we can be enthusiastic, and that is our invitation on our grand adventure today. So I am brave in doing new things with enthusiasm. And I would change that, like if I was, I really do love the new. I do. But part of my brain loves the new, and then part of my brain is like, I am brave at doing all things with enthusiasm. Right? Okay. Anyway, so you just tweak the affirmation for today any way it serves you best. The song for this week is from Peter, Paul, and Mary, and it's called Weave Me the Sunshine. And it's a beautiful song from the 60s, super folk song feeling, and you can almost just see everyone around the campfire as they're singing the song, Weave Me the Sunshine out of the falling rain. So we can take whatever the grand adventure of life sends our way that might be negative, and we can make it into something helpful and positive. And we can come out of things stronger. Okay, so that's the song for today. And then the diffuser blend that we're diffusing is 2 drops of Douglas Fir, which is the oil of generational wisdom, and 2 drops of Melissa, which is the oil of light. Now, we've already talked about the emotional and physical benefits of Melissa. If you missed that, go ahead, look at the past 2 days, or look on our YouTube channel, which is called Living the Wholesome Life. Old, because we have 2. I don't know. It's a story. But go to Living the Wholesome Life Old, and you can see all of the videos that we have done on this positive affirmation journey. Anyway, so, but today we get to focus on the emotional benefits of Douglas Fir. So, let me tell you a little bit about Douglas Fir. It is a super tall tree. Now, I know that the giant redwoods or the giant sequoias are like some of the tallest trees, but they actually say that the tallest tree ever was probably a Douglas fir. And I didn't write down how tall it was. But anyway, just think super tall giant of a tree. Okay? A tree that's lived for a very, very long time. Now, the Douglas fir was actually named after the Scottish botanist. I love Scotland, by the way. The Scottish botanist David Douglas. And something about Douglas firs that I think is very, very cool is that they are heat resistant. Okay? They have developed a very thick, textured bark that allows them to withstand fairly intense wildfires. So they have tremendous resilience. So we're getting this beautiful Douglas fir oil from a very, very resilient plant, like this resilient tree. So it's going to be I want you to think emotionally right now. I want you to think grounding. Like trees, they're just solid. They're resilient. They're not moving anywhere. Well, obviously. Anyway, and then this tree too is even more resilient. It can withstand the heat. And when you use Douglas fir, I want you to remember that Douglas fir can help us emotionally withstand the heat and the pressure that life can bring. So the other thing about Douglas fir, now this is super cool, and I hope I can find this video again to post in the comments. I'm pretty sure I can. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I bookmarked it, or anyway, saved it to a list. But so these Douglas fir trees, what they found is that their roots communicate with funguses in the soil, and the funguses kind of go from one root structure to another root structure. So like if there's like this mama or daddy tree, and then they have like the little saplings, right, around them, whatever, if their little saplings are like, oh, I need this mineral, I'm short of this mineral, the mom can say, oh, okay, let me send some of that your way. And I know, like, who knew that trees could communicate? But it turns out that science thinks that the Douglas fir tree can. Not only do they communicate with like their little family groups, but they also communicate with other Douglas firs in the area. For example, if there's like something that's like attacking the tree, maybe it's a bug, maybe who knows what, but the trees can actually communicate about that. And I don't get that because I don't know how scientists know what trees are communicating. All I'm saying is that's what the scientific study presented that I saw. So another thing that I want us to think about when we think Douglas fir is communication, right? And the ability to be authentic and vulnerable and say, hey, I really need something. I'm hurting here. I need help. Like the ability to almost like man up or woman up, whatever. And this is where I am. It's a courageous and brave person who has the chutzpah to ask for help. Okay. And then the very last thing that I wanted to say is that historically, there's this Native American story about the Douglas fir where there was, a little mouse, I think it was. Yeah, a little mouse. And the forest has caught fire, and the little mouse with all her little baby mice are like running around, and the mom mouse is saying, hey, can you protect me? And this, like, the raccoon is like, no, I'm running from the fire. And then going to the bear, hey, can you protect me? And the bear's like, oh, no, I'm trying to get out too. And then she runs to the Douglas fir tree, and she's like, hey, can you protect me? And the Douglas fir is like, yes, come and get in my branches, and I will totally protect you. And so they I don't know if you've ever seen a Douglas fir cone. I haven't. I've only seen it online. Maybe I have. I just didn't know that what I was looking at. But the cones actually look like the little hind parts of the mice with like the little tail and like anyway. I think you're gonna love it. Maybe I'll post a picture if I'm really good at that. If not, look up Douglas fir Native American story about Douglas fir. Okay, so emotionally, it is uplifting and calming. So it's going to calm anxious feelings. It's going to be uplifting to mood. So when life is hectic or stressed, Douglas fir, because it's so calming, can remind us we don't need to do everything right now. Right? We don't need to do everything right now. We can prioritize. We can decide what's best for us. We don't need to do everything right now. When diffused, the fir needle oil, essential oil, is said to have a grounding and empowering effect, stimulating the mind while encouraging the body to relax. So, when you feel stressed or tired, take whiffs of Douglas fir essential oil. Can be just the thing to help you be calm, and re-energize. And it's a great way of relieving stress. So they were seeing that because it helps your mind focus and it helps your body calm down, it's one of the perfect oils to take with you, like in the car when you're traveling, especially if you get a little bit nervous when you're driving. Okay, Douglas fir. Or maybe you're giving like a talk or a presentation in your business, like Douglas fir, because it's going to help you stay focused, but it's also going to help you stay calm. Maybe when you're taking a test, Douglas fir would be another good essential oil. Maybe put it on your wrist. They have super cool essential oil bracelets. Anyway, maybe put it on essential oil bracelets. You can just smell it whenever you need to be a little bit more calm and focused. So, it's great at working with anxieties or fears or inferiority complexes. Sometimes when we're buying into something that just isn't true, we do that out of fear, or worry, and we don't. And as we calm down and as we focus, we can see, yeah, something's not right with that agreement that I just bought into. Oh, that I'm not smart enough because I'm not as smart as the average person because back in 4th grade I failed a test, or I wasn't put in the highest reading group, or I didn't, when I took my ACT test, I didn't get the score that I was hoping for, right? There's so many things in life that can happen, and we can feel less than, and we don't need to. We don't need to. We can still say, I'm smart. Yeah, I didn't do good on that test way back then, but that was then and this is now. And I was smart. And even back then, I was smart. I may have just totally failed one test, but that doesn't mean I'm not smart. Okay? So we're going to go back. We're going to start using Douglas fir. We're going to start looking into the issues where we feel pain and where we feel less than. And we're going to start addressing them. We're going to start looking into the agreements that we bought into. Oh, you're not pretty because the person that you wanted to ask you to the prom didn't ask you to the prom back when you were 16 years old, right? We're not going to buy into all those things. We're not going to we are smarter than that, right? We are smarter than that, and we are not buying into old agreements that no longer serve us to become our best selves. Have you seen the movie, as we're talking about thinking whether we're smart or we're stupid, have you seen the movie, it's the Ben Carson story. Oh, Gifted Hands. Gifted Hands, right? In this movie, this brain surgeon goes from having a thing of failing almost every single test and getting almost every answer wrong on tests and not being able to read, and definitely not being able to read well, and just like the bottom of the class. And his mom believes in him. And his mom is like, you are smart and you have everything that you need right here. And she turns off the TV and she sets some ground rules in her home. But she's always the voice of faith for her children. And she had her own personal demons to deal with, right? We all have our own personal demons to deal with. But anyway, that whole story is just to tell you that we don't have to buy into that we're not smart. You are smart. And just because the way you think is different doesn't mean that the way you think is wrong. Anyway, so just wanted to say that as we're working through some of these generational issues, Douglas fir can help. It can help us relax. It can help us focus. It can help us discern what is serving us well, what's not, just things that aren't truth. So it can help us tackle issues from the past, and which can help us go forward feeling empowered, right? Like sometimes you don't even want to look at issues in the past because you have so much hurt or even shame over whatever issue that was. But when we can feel calm and when we can feel that we're worth something, if we're worth something, then we're worth getting out every single issue that is still bothering us, looking at it from different directions, like we talked about yesterday, and then resolving it. We are worth resolving every issue in our lives. We are worth resolving every issue in our lives. We're worth releasing it. We're worth forgiving it. We're worth repenting over it. If it's something that we've done that needs repenting over, we're worth that. We're worth that. Anyway. Okay. So, working over the past issues can help our past become a source of strength instead of a source of weakness. Fir oils like Douglas fir are excellent oils to use in the recovery phase of any illness, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental. The recovery phase, okay? So, it can help us appreciate knowledge that comes from those who are older, very, very protective. Remember, like that story that I told you? And as we are diffusing this blend for today, do you remember how yesterday was all about opening to looking at things in a new way, right? And so I love that we were diffusing Douglas fir even back yesterday when we were talking about the being open to looking at new things in a new way. Here's what I think. I think that when we're on the ground level, we can see like this much, right? But I want you to imagine that you are 600 feet tall or however tall, even like 200 feet tall, however tall, the Douglas fir trees get. And I want you to imagine just seeing everything. Like if you had like the bird's eye view of your life, and even if you could see like time, and you could see how you were and the things that have shaped you, and then you can see how the things that you thought were bad at the time that were hard have shaped you into something beautiful and loving and generous and gracious. Anyway, I think as we take that bird's eye view of things, we will see things in a whole new light that will be very, very helpful. Okay, so Douglas fir is really good to meditate with. If you, because again, it can help us calm down, slow down, and focus. Okay, and I think that I've talked about everything else that I have on my list. Let me just see. I don't want to skip things. Oh, okay. This is something really important that I want to talk about. Douglas fir, because it is so calming and so focusing, it can help us make better connections in our family. Now, hold on, bear with me while I explain this. Because, anything that is just brings a calm sense to your family, to your atmosphere, it makes it easier for us to enjoy each other. It makes it it makes it easier for us to calm down and be authentically who we are. And when we are living from our authentic self, our true best self, we can love on others more. And when others love on us, we feel like they're loving the real us. So it really helps with making friendships and deepening bonds. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say, hold on. The last thing, there we go, that I wanted to say about Douglas fir is that it can blend with other oils very, very well. So 2 things that you can think about when you're blending with Douglas fir is you can blend it with any citrus oil, and it will just help it just be a little bit more uplifting. So you're blending with lemon, lime, tangerine, and Douglas fir. Beautiful, beautiful combinations. Or you can blend it with, because fir trees are so often associated with Christmas, you can blend it with some of those Christmassy essential oils like frankincense, cinnamon, clove, or wild orange. And just get this beautiful, brightening, happy blend. Okay, so that's Douglas fir. Again, some of the things I want you to think about when you think about Douglas fir is protective, connective, and then just absolutely resilient. Protective, connective, and resilient. Okay, that's Douglas fir. Oh, and I wanted to read some of the negative emotions that Douglas fir can help with is negative generational patterns. Just patterns that are just hitting the families boom, 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 one after another, whether it's addiction, whether it is anger issues, whether it's maybe just laziness issues, or even lying issues. Douglas fir, let's see if it can't help us to calm down, to focus on what people really want, and to be the chain breakers in that, okay? And so negative generational patterns and burdened with family issues. So if you are feeling burdened with family issues, maybe just relaxing with Douglas fir, focusing on what we can do to help. Now, I can't get off this call without, or this, whatever this is, Facebook Live. I can't get off of this without telling you, I was just listening to a general conference talk, and I think it was by James E. Faust, but I'm not sure. If I find it, I'll put it in the comments for you. But the guy basically said, when I have a problem, can I just tell you what I do? So this is what I do. I go to Heavenly Father, and I'm like, Heavenly Father, this is my problem. Can you please help me, lead me to some scriptures that can help guide me to your word, that can teach me how I should be doing this. And so then he feels like he gets guided to some scriptures. And then so he learns a little bit more about the problem and how the scriptures say to deal with the problem. And then he goes back to God. And he said, okay, God, this is our Heavenly Father. This is kind of what I've learned. And this is what I think of is the solution after all my study in the scriptures. Am I missing anything still? Am I missing anything still? So he learns. He might go back to the scriptures a couple of times, keep going back to God. And then when he feels like he's connecting with God over what the solution will be, then he implements it. Okay, I just think that's brilliant. And then you probably already do that. I know you probably already do that already. But I just think that is so brilliant. Going to God, God, I have a problem. Instead of just asking God, hey, what's the solution here? Like, hey, can you guide me to where you've already given me the solution in your scriptures? Right? And then studying it in the scriptures, studying the problem in the scriptures, and then, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do I still need to know and do? Are there more scriptures I need to study on this? Or can you guide me to them, please? Or is there something that I'm still missing here? Like going to God. So many of us tend to reach out to experts, or we tend to reach out to our friends, or we tend to just go with our own wisdom, or maybe we tend to reach out to books or whatever it is, and like peer to peer basically, and I just don't think that wisdom, although good as it is, like it's all good wisdom, but I don't think that wisdom is as good as God's wisdom. So when we have a problem, well, next time you have a problem, you might just try that scenario. And the next time I have a problem, I really want to try doing more of that scenario. Searching the scriptures, going to God, having that process be with God. Building our relationship with God, building our trust with God. I think that would be so cool. Okay, the positive properties that Douglas fir can bring in is generational healing, respect for elders. I don't know a mom or a dad that wouldn't like a little bit more of that one. And wisdom and learning from the past. So Douglas fir is a beautiful essential oil. It can help us so many different ways emotionally. I'm thankful to have these essential oils in my life, and thankful that they're here on this planet for all of us to enjoy if we want to. And tomorrow I'll be talking about the physical properties of Douglas fir. Just reminding you that the diffuser blend of the whole entire week is 2 drops of Douglas fir and 2 drops of Melissa. And the song for the whole entire week is Leave Me the Sunshine by Peter, Paul, and Mary. And the song for, the affirmation for the day is, I am brave in doing new things with enthusiasm. And the affirmation for the whole entire week is, I am learning from my new adventure gently. Being gentle with ourselves, being gentle with others, giving ourselves grace, and giving everyone around us grace. Okay, to me, grace is just thinking that we're all doing things out of the goodness of our hearts. Anyway, I love being on here with you. And I am Suzanne Williams with Essential Oils, Health Matters, and Living the Wholesome Life, reminding us that we all have the incredible power within ourselves with God to make every day a great day. Bye-bye.